I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
We have Team Epic and Team McEwen. So sit back and enjoy some world-class curling. Gentlemen, the ice is yours.
Welcome, folks, to the 2024 Henderson Metal Fall Classic presented by your Ontario Kioti dealers. We have a great matchup tonight, telecasting Sheet C between Brad Jacobs and Team Morozumi from Japan. I am Marc Barrette, and I'm here with my trusted and great friend, Clint Cudmore. And we'll do the play-by-play, joining first end action with Jacobs with the hammer. Clint, how are you doing tonight, buddy?
Very well, Mark. How are you this evening?
I'm adequate. Thank you very much for asking.
Nice. So Jacobs getting the hammer with a slightly more successful draw to the button, looking like he was about a centimeter or so away from the pin. And Team Morozumi came about just biting top button, so Jacobs will have the hammer. And looks like Morozumi's going after this one with an out-turn hit on the wings.
A reminder to the fans out there that this is a 2018 triple knockout. The teams are playing for $106,000 in cash and important World Curling Tour points.
Get a look at Brett Gallant here with his first of second stones. Going to be asked to play a hit and roll behind the center guard.
In earlier action today, we have two A qualifiers, so Team Tunstone over Team Return As. 4 p.m. action, and Team Hosli from Switzerland over Team Climax. So we have two A qualifiers waiting to play on Championship Sunday.
That's how I would have pronounced that too, Hosli. Maybe someone can tweet in to see if that was proper or not, but I think I'm sold on that.
I actually asked them before, so I hope I got it right.
There you have it. Yeah. Research.
Homework.
We've tried to do our homework on the Japanese team too, so we'll do our best to pronounce some of the names. That having been said, that was second stone Raitaro Shikuya. So Brett going to try this roll again here. He's come back with an out turn, looking like he's just throwing it kind of a quiet hit, maybe like a 10-second hit. Looks to be pretty close.
Rolled a bit too far there, Clint, but part of the objective success. Green rock is gone.
Yeah, it's a good shot. He's going to hit this. A little bit of a chase back and forth to the 4-foot. I think you're going to see on these next couple shots. Looking like a likely blank first end, unless someone makes it real good.
Hit and roll attempt there a bit shy. Rock is exposed for Team Jacobs, opting to roll away from the center guard. Draw play to the wings.
Be a little careful on this. He wants to roll as far as he can away from that center guard to prevent the roll back underneath being above the T line. So he's going to try to roll this right out, but really important to stick your shooter on this one and not give him a free one around that guard. Going to test out this spot a little early. Might be some questions on what this is going to do with a hit weight out here.
Ice has been fairly predictable all week. Touched up the stones last night, Clint, to get a little extra curl.
Oh, they did, eh? They touched them up already.
Absolutely.
Looking like there was some pretty good curl early in the week. I'm kind of surprised to hear that. But I think you should really get some movement now, as Marc Kennedy looks to have made it really well. So they're going to run this guard back and hope to stick it behind cover.
I thought he was trying to roll away there. Did it just over curl? Or?
I think so, yeah. It looks like he initially did call the roll away, but sometimes it's an audible halfway down, and they committed well to making it on the inside. And I think they got the curl sweeper on and got a pretty good audible.
It's a life lesson for you kids out there. Never give up on the throw.
Absolutely. A lot of shots are made not exactly how you anticipate them, but that line call is everything. Familiar slide of Marc Kennedy. Left-hander.
Gets
Really
way
nice
down there.
Slide in person. What a great player he's been over the years, and such longevity in his career now. Pretty special player. As he makes it pretty well again. Piece undercover anyway.
We do have sheet-to-sheet coverage tonight on all of the action. Tune into Curling Stadium Sioux to see all the other live streams. If you want to follow along on the scores, curlingzone.com.
Here we get our first look at skipper, and it's Yusuke Morozumi. Of course, from Japan. He's going to try to hit this rock, and I'm not sure he's trying to get low, Mark. Do you think he's trying to get underneath? You can't quite see enough. He's trying to just roll as wide as he can.
Yeah, I think he's trying to roll.
Yeah, a little piece covered, so he can't get low. So he's just going to try and roll wide and stick around. Trying to curl sweep it in hopes that it hangs around on the corner here. Close. It's going to just roll out, I think.
For the fans not familiar with triple knockout format to a qualifier, Clint, can you run through what the cycle is and how teams progress through the brackets to qualify?
Yeah, so you can't lose 3 games. If you lose 3 games, you're out of here. So you keep going until you lose those 3 games. So really, I mean, it's a bit of a scrappy thing, because a lot of times you will see teams that get their 2 losses early and come through the seaside and battle their way out as Marc and I have been known to do over the years a couple times. So with triple knockout is fun. Sometimes you get into events where if you almost lose two too early, you're out of it. But a triple knockout, you've always got some life if you're playing. So it's a good format.
I think the best team gets out at the end of the day under this format.
I would agree. More often than not.
And Team Jacobs and Team Morozumi, both having lost one game, are fighting for qualifications in the B bracket.
Proud Sault Ste.Marie, Brad Jacobs sliding out of the hack now, throwing an intern. Looking to get a good feel of draw weight here early, and now we've got some pretty full bleachers in there. You're going to see if it's anything like it's last year. The ice conditions stayed consistent, but did maybe tighten up a little bit through the game. So this might even be slightly different than his draw to the button weight already, having had first practice.
Little deeper than they wanted, so opting to sweep it to the back eight, not to leave an easy freeze covering the button.
Does bury it though, so he can't just pick it. He's going to play a draw at it, so not the worst.
Not the worst, but it could turn into a Jacobs force if this shot is made.
Skipper's going to try to make this good. And as Marc suggests, if he does make it really good, the force is on the table. Looks to be hanging out a little bit wider than they're hoping for now, I think, but they got the curl sweeper on now, and it's really starting to move. It's coming in there pretty nice. Does put it in a good spot. I don't know if Brad has enough on the out turn to try and chase, or he's just going to draw for his one this early likely.
It's too early, Clint, I think, to take on that risk, so looking like the draw of the button, full four for the single.
Ben really seemed to hit it early, I think. Looks close, but I think maybe the boys think it's needs a little help. It is curling, so this might great scrub, but it does lose the line a little bit, so will be a steal of one. A great shot by Japanese skip.
Really uncharacteristic, unforced error there for Team Jacobs. We'll take the hammer in the second end. We'll be right back, folks, after this brief message.
Gripper first.
Don't forget your brooms.
Yep, we got it. Yellow.
Come on up. Well, what do you got? You got one, you got two, you got...
Just one more throw, please.
You make moments like these possible.
Handcrafted in Canada, Artline's ice pad has revolutionized curling for over a decade. Engineered with top-tier precision and durability, it is backed by an unmatched 10-year warranty. Designed for curlers at all levels to sweep effortlessly with maximum efficiency, it is trusted by the world's best curlers, including Olympic and world champions. It is quite simply the best brew in the game. Hardline. Join the revolution.
So Bradgood's going to ask Ben Hebert to throw a corner guard here in end number 2 after the Japanese lead. Masaki Iwai placed a nice tight center guard. Looking like there's going to be some rocks in play this end.
I missed the call here, Clint. Are they putting the double center or are they going around?
Intern come around looked to be the call to me. Maybe a little early for the double center there, Mark. But it's very important that someone plays Vic Router. So I appreciate you throwing me a softball.
You're welcome.
Nice come around there by the Japanese lead, and Brad's going to answer by coming around the corner that he just threw there. There's going to be some congestion here early, which should make for some exciting shots. Trying to get this to walk over to get the line to bury it behind the corner, and looks to be losing a little steam, but I think they managed to bury 90% of it. They bury enough for the Japanese skip to just decide the corner freeze to it rather than chase it.
Shot.
Great shot. Yeah, really nice. Brad sensing a little, well, not danger, but just that maybe that he needs to make a double here and try and keep his shooter somewhere around that corner. Clean things up around the middle a little bit. I think he's going to ask Brett to just make this double and roll towards that other green.
Best of both worlds. You get the double, remove the guard, shot rock, and roll in front of your rock, which then becomes guarded.
Yeah, I believe that was the call. Almost makes it the other way, but still not the worst. Gets it off the center line a little bit, exchanges the color, opens up shot stone for now.
We got Tim from BC who says hi.
Hi, Tim.
Thanks, Clint.
I'm going to throw you one here now and again too, Mark.
No, I'm good.
It's not just going to be one-sided.
I'm good. People know.
Looks good out there, though. Like it's great to see this at this club, and we haven't really seen an event in the Sioux like this since they used to have the Regal Capital back when I was just kind of coming out of juniors. And really, we haven't seen an event in the Sioux like that since then, other than the slams that would come, of course, that were in the arena. So great for the curling club, and great to see some people out there on the sheet, and of course, Outspoken Brewery, our sponsor on the ice, and you can purchase their products out there. And view curling from the sideboards or up top. We have a great facility for watching curling here at the Sioux Curlers.
The fans appreciate it, the curlers appreciate it, and the organizing committee really appreciates it. So all in all, very successful event. If you hadn't had a chance and you are in Sault Ste. Marie, please come out and give it a try. Really good experience.
Kudos to the Harnden boys too for kind of helping put this all together too. I know Al and Eric's here, and Ryan's put a lot of work into getting this event here. So nice to see it all come to fruition.
Takes a village, Clint.
It really does. And I think any small curling club can attest to that. It really is curling is such a community thing, and it does take all hands on deck when you get something like this in town.
And the other thing that I enjoy about this event that sets it apart from the slams, even though most of the slam teams are here, that the up-and-coming teams are still able to participate, learn, play against them. We had a couple upsets this week, so it makes for some exciting curling. Great event.
Yeah, it's so true. And for as much as the slams have done for TV, it really kind of has put a little bit of a damper on the grassroots and the development side of it, because teams are so professional now. So yeah, well said, Marc. It's a great opportunity to butt heads with some of the bigger guys, and you really never will improve to that level unless you have those kind of opportunities. So nice to see. Kind of reminds me of the Shorty Jenkins Classic. It was a similar feel where a lot of the good teams there, and then a lot of the ones that are just knocking on the door.
You want to get better, you pay your entry fee, you get beat up by the top teams, and you learn.
So true.
Repeat.
And sometimes you still don't quite learn, but you try.
In my household, Clint, we reward for personal bests and effort.
That's right. So Marc Kennedy going to play the... I think he looked like he's playing the soft double here, Marc, and or is he trying to roll on top of it?
It's hard to see from the angle.
Yeah, we're not quite behind the sheet here. We're skewed a little bit, but
that's a great curling shot. Team Jacob sitting second and third row.
Yeah, I mean, there really wasn't a reasonable double to stick around, and I don't think he quite had the space to roll on top. So I think it kind of accomplishes what he's after for now. Morozumi asking his third to run this back and stick it, roll a little in. And really, if this is made well, Jacobs is going to be looking at a couple rocks in good spots, which he does look to roll it into a pretty good spot.
The one good thing, though, is that Brad Jacobs has Marc Kennedy throwing the next rock.
Also, that Brad Jacobs will throw the following two is also a pretty good thing.
Crowd from Sault Ste. Marie a little biased towards their skipper. Doesn't matter what province that guy represents. They're always behind their 2014 Olympic champion, 2013 prior champion, sorry.
Yeah, it really has been great to watch Brad do what he's done, and it's been great for the community, great for curling, and he's given a lot back too. Brad's a great guy.
The whole team has given a lot back to the curling community here, Sault Ste. Marie, so it's much appreciated. Eyeing up a double and roll here. It's got to curl over a bit.
Looks real close. Just jammed it and rolled a little too far. So yeah, won't be thrilled with that.
Not optimal, but still sitting second and third rock. One double away from a deuce.
It's going to be tough, though, if the Japanese can hit this on the nose and space it out. It's Brad is going to throw maybe one more draw in there, but chance to put a little bit of heat on. You trying to nose it, Marc, or just maybe roll under a little bit? I think maybe just the nose was the call.
I think the nose is a great call.
Japanese team does throw a lot of rotation too. We're actually very similar to the Canadian teams. They should get similar action on their rocks.
Rolled a bit too far. You might see Brad attempt to roll underneath the center guard.
Yeah, it actually rolled to a spot that could potentially cause him a little bit of difficulty if Brad can get underneath this guard. Something to jam on back there. Kind of frame this roll a little bit.
Be nice if you can roll outward underneath the corner guards, make that double, but I don't think the angles are quite lined up.
It looks like he might be throwing the weight to just kind of punch it back a foot or two and roll low, right? And not kill it with that broom? Or is it moving that much?
It'll move that much. Lots of room to curl by that center guard. Roll underneath.
Just missed the weight call on this.
We just threw.
That kind of broom, it looks to be like a back line to hack.
Yeah.
So I think he is trying to kill it and just get a little low. Rolled buried behind that guard. Even if he does overroll it a little bit, he's almost frozen on that back one, so that might not be too bad either.
Brad Jacobs stare, laser focused.
Yeah, his setup does not change. Very deliberate and decisive. Gets a millimeter low, but looks like the Japanese have enough to chase it and poke it out if they want to. Although it's a little bit of a difficult shot.
Yusuke with the chance now to chase the Brad Jacobs shot rock.
From this angle, they look to be just about edge on edge, so he needs to get a little bit of finish past that guard to not be risking jamming it on the back one. So he's going to play the draw, the other turn.
They are not biting, and they're drawing, Clint.
Yep.
What do you think?
I like it. Not a tucker.
Yusuke with his last rock, attempting to draw in and freeze to the Jacobs stone.
Morozumi is laying second shot, so this is a good call. Really cuts down the forefoot, and if he makes it anywhere decent buried behind that guard and above the other one, the force is on. So
The force or the steel?
yeah, well, true enough. To be bouncing a little bit. Ben won't move out of the way, so it's hard to tell about what the line is. He's bigger than me, so I won't say it too loud, but
No, that could be costly, Clint.
yeah, could be.
He's got a few options here. Can opt to draw to the pin for one. There's a couple staggered yellow rocks, 12 and corner guard that he could run in.
Looking like those yellows are queued up pretty good. If he can just hit it a little low, should get it, kick it back real close to that green. It's just I'm wondering about the weight.
Are there any hazards here, Clint?
There is if you whip it. I think he's gonna just try and cross it a little bit with like a
Nice and easy, yeah. You know,
10-second hit or so.
You're spilling
Is
your
what
own.
it looks like to me. Unless he thinks he can whip it and it'll drag a little bit back that way. We'll see here in a second. Yeah, no, the former. He's just kind of throwing a quiet top and trying to get a little bit low. Should be lined up for the deuce. Real close. And didn't quite have the steam to poke it far enough. Wow, that's a little unfortunate. Got the angles right, just
shot.
Didn't quite have the steam at the end of the day. Just tighten the broom up and throw it a little harder, but that's a real good effort by Brad. Kind of a little unlucky.
All right, 1-1 after 2 ends of play. We'll be right back.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
We are back live. And number 3, tie ball game, 1-1. Brad almost getting his deuce there, but didn't poke the shot stone quite through the 4-foot, so settles for his 1. Coming back with an in-turn here. Looks to be moving in there real nice. Gets it pretty well dead buried. Top of the 8-foot in a good spot. Ben Hebert going to come right around it, I think, was the call.
Great addition to this year's event is our Sioux Curlers 50-50 draw. Proceeds going to junior curling, great cause in Sault Ste. Marie. If you are in Ontario, you can join in online. Visit www.siouxcurlers5050.com. Pot's getting up there, Clint.
You have a voice that's just made for the radio, Marc. I think
Definitely
you missed
not television.
You and me both.
I've also been told that my comedic style is like Mike Myers. I just don't know if it's the Canadian comedian or the serial killer.
Yeah, that's a pretty big differentiation, I think. You have to ask whoever said that the next time.
I don't want to know, but there's some things you don't want to know.
Fair enough, Marc. Another good shot by the Japanese here, coming right around everything. Pretty well loses it back in there behind the 4-foot, and Brad's going to clean this up. Either straight back and make the double, or just, you might even be able to clip your own and get everything. I think that would be a little bit of a miscue, though. It looks like straight back and try and keep him locked buried to make that double. Brett mixed a lot of these. Definitely one of the best seconds in the game right now. Good shot. Doesn't get them both, but
got rid of one. Yusuke calling to replace that removed stone. Maybe get it right to the face of their shot rock. Make the raise double a lot more difficult on Team Jacobs on the next one.
Yeah, I think if the line's good right to, it's a good spot. And he definitely is curling enough to get that, but anything in front of it between them is pretty good too. Just that Brad does have the separation to make the double run now with a little bit more ease. And I think you'll see Brett be real close on this. Looks like almost a millimeter negative ice here for the big rotation and big weight of Brett Gallant.
Looked like a little float out of his hands.
Has missed that one. Got a little frustrated about that.
Mark Kennedy now going to be called up for a cleanup on aisle 4.
Yeah, and there's not huge concern right now too. That one's not really in a real dangerous spot for the moment, and Brad's still got a couple rocks real close to the rings that he can run. So I think you're gonna have to have a cleanup. That the next two guys are your men. Actually gets it in kind of a tricky spot, Mark. It's you just go after the single yellow. It's a real tough double peel now on the out-turn side. And it's a real thin double peel on the in-turn side, so it's tough to not leave a rock on the center line here.
Yeah, no, that was a great curling shot, and now Brad's got to decide, am I blasting the whole thing to hopefully get out of this with maybe giving up 2? He briefly looked at tapping up his yellow rock, beat him to the button.
We talked about this a little bit before the game. The great curling shot was an ode to the late Don Duguid. He used to do a lot of this commentary, so he used to say that. Don, if you're not dead, I do apologize.
Did we sign the waivers before we started this?
They didn't vet the commentary before they. Sorry, Don. I'm very glad to hear that.
Yes, Tim. Ben is still one of the top sweepers. He's a beast out there on that room. Well, that was a pretty good cleanup, Clint.
Yeah, it was a lot simpler now. So looking to get another one in there behind that center line guard. Coming back with the intern here. They look to have draw weight figured out really well. Everyone's real close on everything.
Reminder to the curling fans, we do have a live chat option on the YouTube stream. If you have any questions for us, we'll try to answer, or we might make up an answer. Who knows?
Yeah, we tend to make up things, obviously. Actually, a really good shot by the Japanese here. I don't think that's exactly how he drew it up either, but Brad's just looking to kind of hit this and roll in front of the other one for now.
Great pressure by Team Morozumi this end. Brad's been chasing since rock number 2.
Real nice roll by Marc Kennedy. Just exactly where he called it, so. Morozumi's going to ignore it by the looks of it because he is shot rock already, so he's going to play the out-turn come around, I think. Starting to look at the hit and roll option too. Both would be pretty good. Just get one behind that guard, I think.
You can see the timer on the top right-hand side of your screen there. So teams are allocated 33 minutes for an 8-end game with 2 timeouts.
So it looks like they've opted for really quiet weight, kind of just through the rings, I think, by that broom position to maybe a hack weight. Try and hit half of this and roll back underneath center without disturbing your back one. It's a touchy shot. Pretty tough to roll it to a good spot. And not that close on that one. I think just a little bit more weight than he positioned the broom for.
Threw it through the curl.
Yeah. Brad looking to run his own straight back onto this and might be able to roll into a pretty good spot somewhere close to that guard if he throws it real hard, which he might be doing by that broom position. Brad throwing it hard but not whipping it, but looking like he's trying to get it right on the nose or a little bit low.
Mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Japanese will continue to try and roll behind this guard. But you almost have to grab a shot now because I don't... Well, I mean, he could probably throw the weight to make the double and the roll if he whips it. Which again, a little bit negative ice, that's probably the call too. Otherwise, it's the straight roll at the top of the rings, and I don't think he'd be doing it with that broom. So I think he's trying to throw a real big weight, hit it 7/8 low, and make the double and the roll in a perfect world. Yeah. Got about a 6-second heater coming at you here with about 10 rotations. So this has got a chance. Does make the double, but it rolls a little too far and almost under the corner. So really, very good shot.
Very good shot.
Great shot. It's the advantage of being able to throw a little extra weight. Sometimes the angles are not looking great for you, but that one, if you could whip it, you could get the best of both worlds there. Tried a lot of those instead of the draw to the 8-foot mark.
I worked hard with you, Clint, to make you draw.
So that is buried. So Brad looking to just come around this guard. That looks like the ice to go through the hole, Mark, and freeze to shot stone, correct?
Yeah.
Anywhere in front of it through that hole, he's looking pretty good.
Just can't afford to bounce off at all because it's be a pretty easy shot for Team Japan there to score their deuce.
Yeah, he's got some room for error, but the placement has to be pretty good for sure to not leave the Japanese another shot back. This looks to be short for now, but
They're liking the weight. We just missed the line call. He's going around the center.
he is going around the center. That didn't look like a lot of ice for that.
That's a Brad Jacobs rotation.
Not ideal. Does come through the opening of the hole. Japanese are going to chase this.
Yusuke has to navigate this port, get to the face of that yellow stone for 2 points.
Looks like you can see almost half from here. Well, a good third anyway. So throwing that same kind of heavy draw to hack weight, I think. Tap this through for a deuce. Down, they look to be pretty happy with the line. This looks to be
Front
pretty
and
good.
indicating. Looks like it's a bit up weight.
Right on course.
Curly sweep.
Great shot for the deuce. And really well earned after his first shot. It was a nice deuce by the Japanese team to pull ahead 3-1.
I don't remember a time when curling wasn't a part of my life. When I wasn't putting in the sweat and hard work to be the best that I can be. Clocking in the time, the effort to practice day in, day out. Curling is more than just a game. It's a family, a community. And when it's time to play, I know I'll be ready. Hardline, supporting hundreds of our next generation athletes.
Back, fourth end action. Morozumi throwing up the center guard. Ben Hebert now trying to place the corner guard, generate some offense. Team Jacobs down 2 points after a well played end by Team Morozumi. Great toss by Ben Hebert. Team Morozumi calling for what I think is a come around. Sweeper's trying to make it curl in behind there. top button, and now Jacobs will try to freeze on top. Seen this scenario play out a few times. You don't want to bounce this. Right to the face, great shot, Ben Hebert. Great judge.
So just looking to get a little to the inside on this one. Line going to be really important on this, because if he does leave it wide, Brad can just nose it. Which it doesn't look like he will get the ideal line, so. Well, it finished in there pretty good, didn't it?
Yeah. Great late finish.
Still going to play at it. Try and keep a shooter behind the corner and definitely get rid of shot rock. It's just a question of whether that middle one's going to roll a little too far or not. I think they're close enough where he should be able to hit half the rock with a control weight and plant it.
Yep.
They're maybe getting, it seems to be moving a little bit more than they're expecting. They didn't seem too worried early, but that really took off. Maybe a little less weight than anticipated.
Team Morozumi now with the option to hit their own stone onto shot rock. Hit 3, get lucky, you could actually roll over to that Jacobs biter and really put some pressure on this end.
Yeah, this is in a good spot. It's looking real challenging for your deuce at this point, although you do have some cover to work with. It's
great shot.
He does get it in a good spot, but I don't think it really changes Brad's shot. You almost have to clean it up.
You have to score here for sure.
Yeah, and that's a little too close to the center line than you'd hope, I would think. So I would imagine Brad's going to hit this. Try and roll to the top of the rings and maybe generate a little bit of offense that way. He could potentially make the triple, and he actually even roll half buried top of the rings would be great. Comes another heater. Again, a little bit low. He could get all 3 and roll into a pretty good spot. Makes a double and rolls out, so it's not going to help your offense, but it's a good cleanup shot. What do you like here, Marc? It's a bit of a challenge for Morozumi to think about what the best spot might be. Let's just try and continue to make Brad leave him with the hardest double as possible.
Yeah, and if his shot rock was 2 feet higher, you could see the guard come into play. But
yeah,
because it's on the back of that T line.
Yeah, we don't like the guard.
If you guard that, then Brad's just freezing on top.
I like the guard, but what do we like? We go bite the 8-foot right in front of it to maybe leave the potential jam. Looks like he's chasing the one on the wings to just try and eliminate it. And up 2 points, hitting anything the opposition colors never a bad decision. So I'm in favor of this one too.
Yeah.
Even though it is the seamlessly probably Rocky wouldn't see on the scoreboard, he does stick around, roll it into a nice spot. So I'm definitely in favor of that call, the score being the way it is.
You do leave Brad the open draw behind his corner.
Yeah, that's the only thing you did. You didn't really put it in a spot where you're choking anything for Brad. So Brad was playing this in-turn draw regardless. However, I still think up a deuce, you make him make that shot first. It's pretty good. Again, the obvious problem is it's Marc Kennedy, so this is all but made, I'm sure.
Boys are working it hard.
Looking to place it corner frozen to the top one again. He's got a little bit of room if he chops off to kind of leave it in front of the back one, but they've got to get it there. And a great scrub to look to be real close. All three of them are real close, but I think that maybe the middle green would be the shot zone. So an inch shy maybe, but kind of does the trick for the team that's ahead, because I really think he's peeling regardless of where that stone was. So it might give Brad a little bit more room to spread these out and try and think about a double later.
Double. The other option would be to freeze.
Or freeze.
Team wants to talk this one over. Pretty important shot, Clint.
Yeah, it really is. This is a tough call, actually. Being up by the deuce, it's so easy to play defensive enough where you're just kind of handing the deuce back to him. So an aggressive shot here might be in the cards if he can think about how he might be able to place another nice draw in there, because yellow isn't shot for the time being. So tough with the 5 rock rule. By the time you're able to peel, sometimes it's so congested that you keep on the offense is a good call sometimes, even when you are ahead, which is so contradictory to the way it was even with the 4 rock rule.
Looks like they're opting to corner freeze on that yellow stone.
That's what it looks like. Or maybe just tuck around it a little bit.
I don't mind the tuck.
It's
just that with the corner freeze is that you could actually rack it up for.
Yeah, and you won't be laying an extra shot. The yellow will still be second. So I think he's trying to bury a piece around it. But we'll see here in a second. He's definitely playing a draw of some kind. He might even go back to the pocketed one in between them, right on the tee line, if the line's good.
Yeah, I think
it does look like he's going back around it. If he buries a piece around there, it's pretty good. Doesn't quite. So Brad can see it. He's going to try and roll back towards the other one again.
Just calling off his yellow. He's going to promote his yellow onto the green and roll his shooter in front of shot rock. So this is a setup shot.
Yeah, and any carry off a jam rock, you should be able to count that back green. So as long as you stick your shooter here, this is actually setting up pretty nice for Brad if he can make this one. Half a rock and try and separate these yellows as much as you can.
Rock positioning and patience.
On and off, it usually a good sign. And it looks to be.
It's a pretty good shot.
Yeah. Still a little thinner. I think he dead jams it on that one, and a little thicker. He rolls right in front of it. So yeah, he kind of got a little robbed on that.
Got caught in between.
Yeah. Still pretty good though. The Japanese are chasing it.
And a reminder, folks, there is sheet-to-sheet coverage. Curling Stadium Sioux. Get in on all the action. Updated scores on curlingzone.com.
Just got an update on Sheet A. Mike McEwen now up 3-1 on John Schuster of the USA. Sheet B, we have Team Medea of Japan. It's up 3-2 over Team Simmons of Newfoundland.
Schuster and McEwen on the B side. Simmons and Medea on the C side on their last lives.
Looking like might be a triple here, Mark. Or is it a straight roll in front of the other two? Triple might be the call. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time counting that other yellow. So
yeah,
or even the double and plant right in front of the other one. But I think he is throwing some weight at this and trying to at least get rid of two of them. The double or the triple would work. They're close to the similar line.
Can you get that triple and sit in front of the rock at the back of the forefoot?
Yeah, or if you make the double and sit right in front of the rock on the back of the forefoot is. I think the triple's cued if you make the double. And then you should leave a shooter in a good spot.
Just unfortunate.
Yeah, really, they're a couple in-betweeners. Again, another good throw by Brad, but just marginally missing that. Almost got the triple the hard way.
I believe Brad is second shot.
He is, which is something. Which kind of means this one has to be made.
Yusuke opting to draw beside or behind the yellow stone. Just got to be careful of not leaving Brad Jacobs any type of double for two.
We've seen over the years, it's really hard to do.
Doesn't look like it's finishing.
11 rotations on that rock I counted. So that is a lot of handle. And it's still curled pretty good.
Good spot. I don't think there's a double opportunity there for Brad.
It is a good spot. It's just where the best spot to roll is. So I think Brad's going to try and roll in front of the back 8-1 to the back of the forefoot. And
scores one.
Score is 1 point. You can't roll too far wide, even though there's a little bit of a catcher there. So nose or high side.
Benny's working this hard. Can't afford to roll too far.
It's really moving off that line.
saved it. Great sweep. After 4 runs of play, Brad Jacobs down 1 point. We'll be right back after this message from our sponsors.
On behalf of the volunteer board, the support team, and all the families who will be helped by this year's Sandra Schmirler Foundation Telethon, thank you for being a part of this historic moment. $1,126,014, a new record, exceeding our goal, and most importantly, countless families from St. John's to Victoria to Yellowknife and babies in over 100 hospitals in between will be impacted by your generosity. And we couldn't do it without the amazing partnerships we have with Curling Canada, TSN, and Net2Phone Canada. They connect you, our generous supporters, with so many of the Scotties participants and our volunteers on Telethon Day. A special thank you to Jocelyn and Brett for sharing little Luke Gallant's stories, and all of the families across this great country who shared stories of how Sandra's legacy has helped their little ones grow up and become champions. In each of the last 3 years, because of generous supporters like you, the Sandra Schmirler Foundation has been able to give back $1 million to help babies in every province and territory. And this year's telethon will ensure we can continue that incredible momentum. Thank you for helping champions start small.
Thank you, Canada!
And we're back again, live, the Fall Classic. Sioux Curlers 2024 Fall Classic presented by Henderson Metal. Brad managing to get his one last end, so the score is 3-2 for Morozumi. The center guard goes up by Brad. And there's an answer by a come around to the top 8 foot, and they've been really consistent on their come arounds, the Japanese team here, not going too deep, keeping them in the top 8 foot, so making the freeze really difficult. Brad's been forced to come around a little bit deeper than he might want early, so a really good positioning on those come arounds by the Japanese team, not sliding too deep.
Those leads rocks are so important, Clint. Can make or break your day.
I never doubted that. That's why I always picked Marc Barrette to be my lead.
Can't go wrong there. Unless he's too old to sweep.
Yeah, well, that's not your fault. That's just time.
It's just time.
Not quite making that freeze, but again, that's not bad. You're kind of controlling the front of the rings. The Japanese are going to try to come around this again. And that's going to be a little too juicy for Brad to ignore. They're sliding right behind the pin, so if Brett can lock one here, that's going to be a Chase City for the rest of the end. Going right behind the pinhole, really the worst spot you could put that for a great shot that could have been, you know, either taken right through the 4-foot or just right off it and leave it a little bit higher. But to land right behind the pin like that is, if this is made, that's going to be your auto steal. And he doesn't quite get her on the top, so.
Team Jacobs just not as sharp today, making the killer shots when you have that opportunity.
Yeah, Brett struggled a little bit, which is so unlike him. We've seen him a lot throughout the years, obviously, a great player, but still figuring out the ice here a little bit maybe, and again touching up those rocks again. So I think Brett's misses have all been over curls, so I think maybe just a little bit more ice for him, and They'll figure it out here. The Japanese team really continuing to play well, though. They're leaving their rocks in really good spots, kind of making Brad throw a run back or two every end. Brett's due to make one of these really well here, so if you get this in the pocket again, you can keep this lock buried at the top of the rings with that other one behind the button. Would be great, and keep your guard right there.
Room is down where he wants Brett to hit the rock.
Didn't take much time on that. And that is absolutely perfect. Great shot by Brett. Real nice bounce back. I just knew he was going to make one of those real well soon. A lot of challenging shots for Brett, but the second position has become so demanding now. You're almost asked to throw those more often than you'd like anyway.
The game's not about hitting sticks anymore. It's about raising rocks to hit the stick.
So true. No decision there, making the double peel and get some action in the back too, which was an awesome shot. Things are really looking sharp for the Japanese team here.
Brad's going to want to protect that shot stone. Just get in between the Algoma University Thunderbird logo and the top of the 12-foot. Even touch the bottom of that wing.
Yeah, I'd be okay with either of those.
Boys are liking the weight.
Just a matter of line, and it looks like they kind of want it to stop. Does rest over curls.
Looks like Yusuke's calling for a backline tap with that ice.
His own back there's causing him a little bit of trouble. I mean, he throws the right weight, he can definitely poke it past the back one, but the jam is a concern if you're upping your weight at all here. He doesn't have a lot of this.
Starting to get the curl sweep on it now. Great result.
Really good shot. Really good shot. They are dialed in.
The younger generation, Clint now calls that locked in. Dialed in's not a thing anymore.
Pardon me, we're showing our age here.
Yeah, you have to be locked in.
And you know what, I've done the math because I really want Marc to play seniors with me. So you are 14 years older than me.
Correct.
When I was born, you were a teenager. So think about that. And I have gray in my beard.
I have teenagers living in my household, so it does keep you somewhat young.
Yeah, you have to be lucid anyway. Another nice shot by Marc. But again, it doesn't change much for the Japanese. They're throwing the same shot. And it's a little bit less likely to jam now. So
Yuta Matsumura with his second shot. Nose hit.
They're leaving them edge on edge enough too, where it's tough for Brad to make the roll back low. So really good execution by the Japanese team, and their weight control is really nice to leave their shooters in good spots.
Would you ever see Brad change gears here and try to duck one in behind there?
I think he's almost considering that right now, given the hesitation. Otherwise, it's put the broom down and throw it.
You know, a deuce here really would put Team Morozumi in the driver's seat.
Not a horrible steal situation. You got one on the top 8 foot, and you got one almost on the center line. So, I mean, Brad would be really happy with the force. But the steal situation is not off the table now. So, I think trying to use that top 8 one as kind of almost a second guard, and play the straight come around. It's just, do you want to leave it right on the 4 foot, or do you want to get as much separation on it as possible so they can't run it straight back? It's a bit of a decision. I think they almost looked at freezing the back one too, to be shot rock that way. This slice looks like a kind of a draw to the button, but I almost think you might want to get a little farther back than that, Mark, so he can't run it straight back. Maybe a draw to the back 8 foot.
I missed the discussion. It also looks like it could be hit and roll
too. That could work if you hit and roll low to the back 8 foot. I didn't quite see their call at the end of the day, but we'll know here soon. Does look like a quiet hit.
Brett trying to curl that over.
And it picked off the sheet.
Oh, what a bad break.
Very unfortunate on a really well thrown rock by Brad that they weren't concerned with it. Grab something. That almost looked like a horsehair pick. That went sideways. That was not subtle. So I don't see any hair out there.
Really untimely pick. There's never a good time for
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Given the aggressive nature of that shot, that was really bad luck.
Game outcome implications. Team McEwen was on the receiving end of that earlier today in their A qualifier.
You hate to see it, and everyone always says, you know, you're on the same sheet, but none of the curlers out here like to see picks. And it's and it happens on the cleanest of surfaces. I know that we haven't seen many picks here this week, so just really unfortunate for Brad on what looks like it was a real good shot.
That one was in the past. Now you got to look forward and see how you can limit the damage in this end. Hopefully get out with nothing more than 2. Team Morozumi now looking at the opportunity to break this game wide open.
Yeah, good shot here. I think you're just thinking don't line up the triple because the double is there right now. So where are you going to put this where you're not going to let Brad smash them all out of there? And it looks like he's just trying to bury as much as he can. Get a little low on the top one, Mark, and roll behind the guard. Tap it a couple feet.
Tap it a couple feet, roll half underneath, and really force Brad to make some decisions. The risk is you don't want to make it too good and force Brad into the draw where you've Christmas treed your rocks and now they're yellow rocks not accessible. So you got to be careful here.
Sure. So he almost wants to nose this and just get a little bit low so he can leave it kind of edge on edge. Christmas tree form like Mark owed to Colleen Jones, who is definitely still alive. Hi, Colleen. It kind of gets it the other way, but that's quite good too. Although there is a triple there.
You'll see Brad take this on. He did take 0.5 seconds in deciding where to put the broom and what he's going to throw.
Yeah, really, it's not far off a nose hit. Right on the beak, and all 3 of these greens will fly. maybe a scooch low.
How much is a scooch in terms of a measurement?
That depends on how hard you throw it. A hair or two. And Brad can whip it, as we all know, so this is going to come down there with some heat. Looks like about a 5.5, 6 second bomb. And they're jumping.
Just over curled.
Yeah.
Looking like an open draw for 3 for Team Morozumi. And a commanding 6-2 lead over Team Jacobs. Another B-side game on Sheet A, Team Schuster versus Team McEwen, tied at 3-3, playing 6. Mike McEwen with the hammer.
Morozumi really had his draw weight this game, so the boys will just dust this in to collect their 3 points, barring another pick. And obviously frustrating, but Brad knowing that sometimes things are a little out of your control. He gets his first one in a good spot, that end plays out pretty differently.
We'll be back right after these messages, folks.
Imagine being able to stream every curling game from every sheet from any event, be it your Wednesday league game, bonspiel, or corporate event. Curling Stadium offers an all-inclusive streaming solution featuring high-quality cameras, ease of use, great reliability, and minimal installation. Offering your sponsors customizable ad space on your streamed curling games and being able to sell video packages to your corporate events for increased revenue. With Curling Stadium, you can stream to any device, be it your mobile phone, tablet, or computer. Push the feed to your desired platform, be it Facebook, YouTube, or any other social media. Curling Stadium is simply the way forward. Where it's commonplace in other sports to televise every game, we want to do the same. Curling is a global sport, and it's time it gets the coverage it needs. Make your curling club the next Curling Stadium.
Welcome back to 6-end action at the Henderson Metal Fall Classic 2024 edition from Ste.Marie. Team Brad Jacobs taking on Team Morozumi from Japan in B bracket action. Yusuke Morozumi up 6-2. Brad Jacobs with the hammer. Unfortunate pick led to an extra point there for Team Morozumi and number 5. But you can't take anything away, Clint, from how this team has been playing. They've been flawless.
Oh, for sure.
Putting the pressure on every end.
Yeah, and we've seen this team over the last couple of years, and they really are developing into a very strong team. Definitely in the conversation amongst some of the best teams in the world.
28 teams will start the week. Play started yesterday morning. 4 draws a day until Championship Sunday. We'll have our quarterfinals, semifinals, and finals. All streaming for you. Thank you to Curling Zone, Curling Stadium Productions. Thank you, Jerry Gertz, for being our fact checker.
That having been said, I recall the Japanese team having a pretty good run at the last Worlds we saw them at. I was wondering what their record might have been, but I think they were very competitive at that World Championship, from what I recall. A lot of good shots made by this team. Very technically sound team.
There's no easy games on the world stage anymore.
No.
You can't look on the draw and look for the weak team anymore.
Yeah, it's changed a lot over the last couple of years, especially. Like we see the teams from Turkey doing well now, and it just wasn't the case even 10 years ago. But a lot of development with the game, which is great to see. And it's not the automatic Canadian win that you used to see in the past. It's and the travel that these guys put in to come this far to this kind of event.
Absolutely.
Kudos to them. Great to see them here.
Time, effort, and money.
Yes.
And we are experiencing a bit of lag out there, folks. Our apologies. We are working with our internet service providers, who shall remain unnamed, to provide us the proper juice.
So the Japanese make a peel on a corner guard, and I'm not sure if you could quite see that at home, but it's peel is the name of the game for the Japanese, and Brad's going to be drawing at everything, and he'll draw to the Japanese skip's foot if he stands there for too long at this point. The score being the way it is, Japanese are going to keep throwing heat.
So you're Brad Jacobs. You have 3 ends to play. You need your deuce here for sure. Steve,
not perfect, but short's not going to kill you at this point. Puts it in a spot where the double peel is relatively well. Kind of surprised he's not going after that front one. Japanese calling a timeout here. I would have assumed he would have just played the straight peel on the one Brad just threw, but we'll see what they decide here. I think getting rid of that yellow one, just the straight peel, is a good shot right now, because if you try any kind of double, it's going back in the rings towards that other one. Which could be okay too, Mark.
Yeah, really not too worried about giving up 2. They just don't want to give up more than that, so you have to be cognizant of your call. Make sure, what do you want to...
I think my thought was to just throw it as hard as you can right down the center line and see what happens.
Clint likes to employ the Hulk smash strategy and make rocks go away. He's good at that. I don't hate the corner guard double peel into the yellow on the center, but
why not? This like, it's really, you're not going to leave it in any worse of a position as it is. You can't dead jam it. You're getting one of them and rolling off no matter what, because you can't see quite all of that back. You'd have to get real unlucky to dead jam it. So I think I like that, Mark, and that may have been what they settled on. My Japanese is not quite as good as it used to be.
I mean, your Japanese lip reading.
I did spend a year teaching English in Korea and was lucky enough to visit Japan once, so not totally.
So you were there. You were there. Fair.
No. Wasn't what we were thinking he would play there, but really, I mean, it peels the corner guard and doesn't change too much on the center line, so I think it's mission accomplished for the Japanese. Looks like a half rocker here. You might be able to get both of these yellows, play the run back and make the double off the shot stone.
If this shot is made, Team Morozumi might be second guessing that decision of theirs to.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. I think that anything but peel weight on that shot was not the right call. And real tough to be critical. They've been stellar this game, but I think that with that kind of lead, while he does bury it, did kind of jump on him to not leave the other one in the rings. It's almost like that green doesn't hurt him too much now, Mark, because they go right back onto shot stone. Pretty much no matter where you hit this there, it's going straight back.
A gimme run.
It really is. As long as you don't whip it, you should be able to stick it buried too. This is right on the money. You got a good shot coming in here. And yeah, it's lost behind those guards. Brad might be thinking aggressive again, play the intern come around here.
I don't think he has a choice.
Yeah, you don't.
You gotta go.
That's high enough in the forefoot where you might be able to come right around it even. So Brad taking some ice and maybe throw the weight where you can use the curl sweep a little bit and get it in there. He's got a chance. If he does bury it, it's going to be a real tough situation to run anything.
I've seen deuces scored with less space, so let's see what Marc Kennedy can do here.
He really doesn't have a run on the outturn, so if he gets this buried, I don't see it going anywhere.
I think if this shot is made perfectly, you'd see Team Morozumi freeze on top of it.
Yeah.
Work towards the force.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Boys are working it hard.
Looks
working
real
it hard
nice.
to curl. Trying to get that last
get it
bit
there
of
with the
finish.
weight. Look to be just shot stone and mostly buried.
99% buried, Clint?
Yeah, 95 to 99.
0.2.
Somewhere in that neighborhood.
We like to be precise here.
I think it's good enough where he's certainly not going to hit it. So he's following down like Marc suggested, trying to freeze it. But it's actually quite good if he's playing that shot because it does leave Brad a little bit more room to get in there for number 2. If that were to go to the button and he froze it, Brad has a real challenging deuce. So really, it's kind of a sneaky good shot. Almost teases him to try and chase it, but this is actually going to be tough to not leave Brad his deuce. Just wonder if the freeze is good enough, Mark. You almost tapped your own. Brad just needs to bite 4 foot because this is only going to be in the 8 foot if he freezes it.
I also like that tapping up your own option.
Tap up your own. I think you got just enough on the outturn to whisker by that guard and tap it a couple of inches anyway. Or even get right around this one. But I think the freeze to the top one is the call. But Brad's got a pretty fat 4 foot to draw to.
Yusuke Morozumi's first rock of the end. Attempting to choke off Brad Jacobs' scoring zone. Looking like Brad is shot rock.
This one looks a little short to me. It does. Comes up well short of what he was hoping for. here we go. So they're trying to roll the shooter back towards the corner. It's just a matter of where that jam rock's going to go. Nice shot. Exactly what he called. To make the double peel and roll the corner. Forcing the Japanese to tap, and if there's any separation, Brad's thinking he may have a double for the deuce, but if this is made well, that's going to be tough. Gives himself a chance, though. Just trying to move it ever so slightly till a shot comes just a little shy. So Brad's going to have a free draw to the 4-foot for 2 by the looks of it.
They are looking to see maybe they aren't.
Well, it's close, isn't it? Does he think they tapped it just far enough? It's so hard to tell with the orange on the orange 4-foot.
But Outspoken does make some good beer.
Outspoken makes great beer. But I would suggest the white 4-foot in the future against the orange 8-foot. It's my opinion.
What color is Space Station, Clint?
I can't say that for sure, Mark. Do you know?
No, that's what I was asking.
Use a nice blue in there. Might give some contrast.
So it looks like they're playing the
yeah, they
soft
must
hit on the top green rock, which they think is now shot rock.
Must feel green is shot or close enough anyway to give this a play. Again, throwing a hack wader at this, and a pretty tricky shot, really. You can only see half of it, and you can't touch that top one, and then it's gone.
It's already gone. One more, game over.
That is handshakes. So really, great effort by the Japanese team.
Great execution by the Japanese team. Couple bad breaks for Team Jacobs. They got one life left. Folks, thank you for joining in tonight. Apologize for the technical difficulties. We will be back live tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. See you then.
See you then.